We have some great breaking Star Wars gaming news. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you all of the details from a report that says Disney and Lucasfilm want a new Star Wars game releasing every 6 months. That's right, twice a year. There is a bit more nuance and details that you really need to know, so make sure you do watch until the end of the video. And if you do want to stay up to date with the latest Star Wars gaming news, please do subscribe so you don't miss the next Star Wars gaming news update. So this report has just been released by Insider Gaming. This is a website started by Tom Henderson, who has had a great track record when it comes to games, especially EA and DICE with Battlefield 2042, and he also revealed Battlefront 3 was pitched and things like that. Whilst there is a chance this report is incorrect, and you should always take things with a grain of salt, there is a great track record behind them, so that's why I'm reporting on it. The headline is, Disney want a new Star Wars game every 6 months. They go on to say, sources have suggested that Disney want a new game every 6 months and it will be at least one major AAA title and one smaller game every fiscal year, and that's something Lucasfilm specifically is set to deliver on. Now, one major title would be something like Battlefront 2 or Jedi Fallen Order. A smaller game would be something in the neighbourhood of Star Wars Squadrons, so a little bit cheaper potentially and smaller in budget and size, which makes a lot of sense, but that's not a bad thing because back in the early 2000s we got a lot of those smaller projects that are now well-loved games. As you know, EA's exclusivity on making Star Wars games ends next May, which means various game studios are now ramping up development on a bunch of different games. There have been plenty already announced. There is 8 in total plus a couple of mobile games. So we have Amy Hennig's game with Skydance Media, Respawn's first-person shooter game, an open-world game being developed by Ubisoft Massive, Star Wars Eclipse by Quantic Dream. There is the KOTOR remake that has gone under plenty of issues but is trying to get back on track. There is Star Wars Hunters, an upcoming mobile game that has been delayed quite some time, but it's still in beta. There is Jedi Survivor, that's going to be out at the start of next year, as well as an untitled strategy game that's being developed by Bit Reactor and produced by Respawn. The report goes on to say that these are not just the current 8 in development. The sources they have suggest that there are several more Star Wars games in pre-development, so in the early stage of development, so don't expect to hear anything for quite some time. As we know, plenty of these games, such as Star Wars Eclipse, aren't coming out for quite some time, so perhaps we might be getting some smaller games before we get some of the bigger ones, and it will hopefully stop the drought of new Star Wars games that we are currently going through. Insider Gaming actually go on to say that their sources keep saying that Quantic Dream's Star Wars Eclipse is not going to be ready until at least 2026. Also, there has been some talk about a Mandalorian game in development at Xbox. Speaking on this, Insider Gaming do say they've heard rumours of a Mandalorian game behind the scenes for a while now, but so far these rumours have seemed to stem from speculation due to the success of the series, not necessarily anything concrete. So at this moment in time, it's hard to really pin down if there is a Mandalorian game in development, but it would not make any sense if there weren't, given how successful that series is. Insider Gaming also clarified that one smaller title can mean a mobile game or something like Star Wars Squadrons, which was a big game compared to a mobile game, but smaller in terms of Jedi Fallen Order and Battlefront 2. So when that information made its way onto Twitter, there were so many replies saying, this is too much, we don't need oversaturation, we don't need 2 Star Wars games a year, we're going to get burned out on Star Wars games, and all of this nonsense. Now, I don't know who these people are, but us Star Wars gamers have had so few games in the past decade compared to what we had in the early 2000s with the prequels, where some years you'll be getting 5 or 6 games, and they weren't the same games, they were very different from each other. Because these upcoming games are going to be developed by a variety of different studios, it means we will be getting a variety of different genres. Even EA had a variety of different games. Star Wars Squadrons is not like Battlefront 2, and Battlefront 2 isn't like Jedi Fallen Order. Not every game has to be for you, much like every Star Wars show. We are in this great era of Disney Plus now, where we have a variety of different Star Wars shows that are very different from each other. Some you will like, some you won't. That's just how it goes. And I'd rather have more Star Wars games, so we have a variety of different things to experience, than just one every 2 or 3 years, because that's not good enough, and it's absolutely insane why people think we'll get burned out when we had over 10 years worth of several games coming out every single year. The worst part is this image, which is really biased against EA and Battlefront, was spread around by these same people who are saying that's going to be too much, 2 games a year, too much. Look how many games we got between 2002 and 2008, and people love those games. Look at all those incredible games. People wanted to return to that stage a few years ago, and now people don't want to go back and we just want one game every few years. That's just mind-boggling. We want more Star Wars games. Some smaller, some bigger. They don't have to be huge 40-hour adventures. We can have something smaller that's still a great experience in a different genre that we've not necessarily had for quite some time or experienced before. Not everyone wants to play first-person shooters. Not everyone wants to play as a Jedi or in a spaceship. They want to do other things. And the great thing about all of these different developers means we can have a variety of this stuff. Some people really prefer single-player games. Some people prefer multiplayer games. Having a great variety of games is going to be great for Star Wars fans, so we're not limited to just 1 or 2 games every few years. Another concern people have raised is the quality of just rushing out games. They're not rushing them out. You can tell by the 8 games in development, they are taking several years to make these games, so they aren't rushed out. For example, Star Wars Squadrons was made by a very small team at Motive, with a small amount of budget compared to other Star Wars games and time, because in terms of bugs, there were very few that actually impacted the playing experience compared to Battlefront 2, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga and more. It was actually a very polished experience by such a small team, so it's proof that it doesn't need to be a huge game to be a great polished one. I know I just ranted, but I really needed to say what I thought. Seeing those tweets, and it's going to be all over Reddit, too many Star Wars games, come on, guys. We need more. You're not going to get burned out by a pod racer game and a first-person shooter game, and then an open world game, and then a Jedi game. It's great to have a variety, and this is what we deserve. Let me know down in the comment section below your thoughts on everything I've talked about in this video, and if you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like, and if you missed any of the previous news updates about Star Wars games, click on the playlist on screen right now, and I shall see you in my next Star Wars gaming video. Goodbye.